very good afternoon to all the participants today and to all the viewers on Facebook Live. We are in the thick of mixed messaging that's coming out of one of the worst pandemics to hit the world in a century. Some are saying we are dealing with the SARS-CoV-2 virus reasonably well. The curve is flattening. Some are saying we are headed towards disaster. The centers says Mumbai will have 6 lakh cases by mid-May. The state says that it's not going to happen. Some say we will open by 3rd May. The buzz is that we are in this for the long haul. The WHO head says it's something that we have to learn to live. It's never going to go away until we find a vaccine. And if we do find a vaccine, there may be mutations and we'll have to find another vaccine. It's going to be part of our lives for a long, long, long time. Social distancing, masking, limited working, working from home. All these are going to become a part of our lives. These are going to become our real realities, the new normal. In this scenario, what do businesses do? What do brands do? Many non-essential and even essential goods are in short supply or erratically available. And consumers are picking up whatever the kirane wala is giving him or her. What does it mean for brand loyalty? Is brand disconnect becoming very rampant? Will consumer behaviors change because of this? Will the fear psychosis that has come into most consumers lead to different ways of living? And what will this entail going forward? Digital OTT consumption is exploding. Doordarshan is the new big data of the television universe in India. News has come onto center stage as we all want to know what's going on in our lives. Will we survive this whole thing? Movies are also working well because people are wanting to get entertained and want to kind of skip being in the reality and escape into fantasy. What does it mean for media planning? What does it mean for top line and bottom lines of agencies, of brands, of companies which have been serving India's consumers for so many decades? These and other questions will be answered by a very final panel we have lined up here. I'd like to begin by each of you all introducing yourselves and what work you'll do for a minute, beginning with the ladies. Can any of you, let's say, Vanita, begin. What do you do? And begin speaking just a minute and watch your screen for that 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, Vanita Keswani here. I head a unit of Madison World, which is Madison Media World in Mumbai. So, I basically look after their advertising, strategy, planning, buying for a large list of clients, about 25-30 clients. Some of them being Pidilite, Raymond, Seat, McDonald's, and many, many more. So that's essentially the role.
Fantastic. Shrija? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shrija. I am the MD of Publicis Worldwide. Publicis Worldwide is part of the Publicis Group, which is many agencies under it, delivering multiple solutions for clients. Within Publicis Worldwide, we have communications, we have media, we have a specialist B2B cell, which does pure B2B communication. We have Publicis Health. And last but not the least, we also have a bespoke agency called Publicis ML, which is for Mercedes-Benz. So besides Mercedes, which is obviously one of our clients, we have many other big clients like L'Oreal, Lakme, Skoda, HDFC Mutual Fund, Z5, Nestle. So we have offices in Mumbai, Bangalore, and in Gujarat.
Fantastic. Vaishali?
Hi, I'm Vaishali. I lead initiative in India, which is part of IPG Media Brands. I'm based out of Bangalore, and the kind of clients we handle at Initiative India is Amazon, which is one of our largest clients, and then which is in the space of e-commerce as well as devices, Amazon Prime Video. Thankfully, there's some action happening in the entertainment space. Then we handle MG Motors, MRF, Jockey, Tuyam, Bajaj, etc. Mix of all kind of clients. Some of the brands are firing, some of the brands are waiting. So let's see how this entire lockdown period unfolds. So yeah, that's about it.
Fantastic. So can we have Pawan speaking now and talking about what exactly he does?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, thank you for inviting me for this, panel of discussion. What I do at Future Group is I head marketing as well as digital for the group across all formats. I think our largest being Big Bazaar and FBB. That's what I do essentially.
Fantastic. Arvind?
Hi everyone, great to be here, meeting all of you. I had marketing at McDonald's, including for its sub-brands McDelivery and McCafe, both traditional and digital.
Fantastic. Rajiv.
Hi, my name is Rajiv Dubey. I work for Dabur. I take care of media. I am part of the marketing team basically, and work with the entire marketing team, devising strategies for new brands, strategies for the existing brands, how to grow brands, how to get new business in the company. So that's what I work on. And currently, the biggest challenge is media. Currently, the state it is in, it's very, very volatile right now, likely to change very soon. But instability is the new stability right now. That's what I would say for current.
Fantastic. Kishan?
Hey, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I just wanted to give a disclaimer that the guy who's in the photo and the guy who's sitting here is the same. I mean, a lot of times, and this is not because of COVID, it is generally what life has done to me. But yeah, so I lead Wavemaker South, which is one of the Group M agencies, and I'm based out of Bangalore. These days, I try to help clients to come out of the situation, managing work, managing life, and generally figuring out how to get out of this thing. So we have clients in Wavemaker South across retail, finance, FMCG, the usual. Yeah, and in between, I've tried to find some time to rekindle some of the old passions, writing, singing when nobody's around, things like that.
You should put up videos on TikTok.
Yeah. They will be instant hits.
I think Nikhil Gandhi will be very, very pleased with you. Nikhil Gandhi will be pleased with you.
Yeah.
No, on Z5 also, because you're starting a TikTok kind of a product too, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a lead on to Avi.
I will speak to Nikhil, yeah.
No, I'm talking about Z5 because they're starting a similar product.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Sorry. I heard Nikhil, so... Yeah,
No, Nikhil is from TikTok, but
TikTok, yeah,
is starting a similar product, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Avi.
Absolutely correct, Anil. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this roundtable, Anil, and it's good to be with all of you. I head the marketing for Z5. I drive the brand and partnerships and media planning for Z5. I think it's a changing media landscape that we are in, changing times, and we are in the business of entertainment. It's become all the more critical for us to do that, to make sure that people around the country are entertained, calm, and at their homes.
Fantastic. So now I'll begin with Rajiv, since he's put a caveat that he's been called by his bosses into a training program, or by his colleagues. I don't know whether it's the boss or the colleague.
It's both actually. It's a CFT which is happening, and this invite came in last night.
Fantastic.
And I just couldn't wriggle out of it because नौकरी बचाना है अभी.
सबको नौकरी बचाने के salary cuts are happening all over the world. So in terms of Dabur, yes. What has it meant to you all in terms of some of your products are pretty essential, some of them are non-essential. So what has it meant to you all?
So I think the first thing to get hit was the supply chain.
Sure.
Because the primary supply chain, if you look at the stuff which is sent from your factories to the distributors.
Mm-hmm.
So that is okay. There's no problem with that, But secondary distribution, when it goes from the distributor to the retailer, that distribution was hit because people had to stay home. There were not enough passes in the beginning, and there was a very stringent curfew. Nobody was allowed. So that got hit a bit. But we found ways of distributing products. So that was the first hindrance which we faced. But we quickly adopted to the new way of working. We quickly started alternate channels. Quickly started building new channels like Suraksha stores, and tied up with stuff like with the startups like Dunzo and with Swiggy, and asked them for their help in distribution. Got in touch with newspapers in the different geographies and asked them if their hawkers can help us in redistribution. So these kind of things we did as far as distribution is concerned. for the essential and not so essential things. Because even in these times, there is a demand for the products. The demand is not totally vanished. Probably demand for holidays is vanished. Demand for cars is vanished, but not for the consumer products. So the biggest challenge we faced was the distribution, and then before distribution, the production. The production got hit in a big way initially, but now it's coming back to normal. And even before that, getting the raw materials. So that, in a nutshell, was a challenge. But at every step, we tried to deal with each and every situation on a daily basis, and taking a day, one day at a time, basically.
So have you set up, emergency kind of committees, groups, which you'll come together regularly? With your permission, I'm going to talk to Rajiv in the beginning.
Of course. So basically, the way we're working right now is that we're working almost 12 to 14 hours a day from home. Mm-hmm. And there is a constant engagement with all the teams. There are different cross-functional teams, and everybody is trying to extend hands to everybody and trying to see if we can work in a better way. And always connected. That's the mantra. We are always connected 24/7. In case somebody needs any help, some function needs any help, there is the management committee which is ready to help everybody. And that's worked very well for us because everybody's connected. I don't think. I've seen very rarely seen that people are collaborating in such a nice way, in a way. Otherwise, everybody's. In office scenarios, things are very different. But in these scenarios, these are extraordinary scenarios. People are working harder. People are trying to do extra.
What has this taught you? What has this taught you, this entire exercise, in terms of your, first of all, media spends? I think Dabur hasn't been spending too much. I've not seen much of you all on Doordarshan, which I'm watching a lot these days.
We are there on Doordarshan. We are there on Doordarshan. We are there on Doordarshan, but not in a big way. We will come back in a big way. It's just a matter of time. But we started investing in news channels and stuff. And Doordarshan, because they ran out of space, because of which we couldn't do anything.
Doordarshan ran out of FCT.
Yeah, there's an issue of getting FCT. Otherwise, we could have been there in a big way.
Fantastic. So how, in terms of, when did you all take a decision to say, we normally, when there's a major event that happens, there's the outbreak, there is a recovery phase, and then there's a stabilization phase that most companies go through. So what was going on through your minds, right? Let's say, we are still in the outbreak phase. We've not entered recovery as yet.
Yeah.
So what was going on through your, as far as you're concerned, the marketing managers, the brand managers, what was going on through their minds?
So, I don't think there's so much of clarity on this thing, what was going on in their mind. I think what we're doing is we're trying to take one day at a time, trying to see if we can launch some new things in order to fulfill the demand. For example, something like sanitizer. Sanitizer is something which was a new thing which started coming up in the month of February. So we quickly got into the production and we started making that product, knowing fully well that some products may do very well in this scenario and some products may not do very well. So, like for example, the demand for toothpaste will be there, but probably demand for bleaches may not be there as much. So these kind of things we kind of had prepared a bit, and then going to the media, what kind of channels will work, what kind of channels will not work. So we had a kind of a roadmap ready in the middle of March when we went into this, but we never expected that lockdown will happen for so long. We thought that it will be for a shorter period, but it just kind of kept going on and on.
Keeping in mind that it might extend further, especially in places like Bombay, Delhi, Pune, and maybe Kolkata if it spreads, and certain cities, though there are places in India which are actually COVID-free. But in like this, it's going to continue. What does it mean as far as y'all are concerned going forward? Planning now for the future in terms of product, in terms of media spends, in terms of ensuring the brand connect continues and doesn't stop.
So continuity is the most important thing, in these regions wherever there is a complete lockdown and complete shutdown. So wherever, even, where I live, in fact, there's a complete ceiling where I live. but still, products available. You're not totally out of the groceries and out of the products. So the local teams over there, they basically try to look at other options, not a regular option, something which basically may work in these areas, like running their own vans, running their own distribution network, running their own, having their own people on the ground. So in fact, our people are working harder than our, so earlier probably they were working 5 or 6 days a week. Now people are working 7 days a week, So these areas will always be of concern. If this keeps extending, that is something which you can't do much about it, but all you can do is try a little harder. So that's what one's doing right now.
But have you also gone the route of giving them PPEs, your staff, and ensuring that everything is on the production floor? Are you all working in that direction? What are the best practices?
Of course. So there's government norm on this, all the factories, that only 50% of the people are allowed in the factories.
I'm aware of. So you're following
social distancing and all the precautions that we met. So all that is taken care of right now. And I think once we go back to work, these things will follow. Probably not 100% people will be allowed into work, and only a part of the workforce will be allowed. So different ways of working. We are learning new tools. We're trying to see if we can do somebody else's job in this scenario. Trying to learn some new skills, and so that people in other divisions can help other divisions. Basically, marketing can help in finance and something like that. Those kind of stuff.
In terms of communication, since this is about communication, what position have you taken on this within and external, as far as your consumers are concerned?
So currently, whatever communication is on air right now, that's been around the immunity and around the COVID thing. But eventually, you can't keep talking about COVID and keep talking about immunity all the time. Only the products which have direct inference to this can be used. Beyond that, you have to ultimately do the regular brand building exercise. And yesterday in the BARC report, I saw that about 14% of the total advertising is talking about COVID right now. The rest of it is still the generic advertising.
The messaging is similar. That's what, if you go on to YouTube, there's a video over there. Most messaging is coming to be similar.
Yeah, about 86% is still similar.
So similar in the
14% ads are basically talking about COVID or something.
Yeah, but even those 14% are passing the same message on COVID. There's no differentiation really happening. So the brands are getting, you're forgetting who's saying what.
Yeah, that's because, there's a huge challenge in producing commercials also. Imagine people are producing commercials sitting at home.
So have you gone that route of producing?
Yes, we have. In fact, every day we are coming up something new, but you can't shoot something new. So you have to go with the footage, whatever you have, or something which you can buy off the shelf, and then quickly produce something. So there's a limitation in creativity right now. So that's why all the commercials are looking same. That's my take.
I understand. So how many commercials have you brought out, and what kind of communication has been? Has it only been about safety and sanitization and stuff like that, or have you gone beyond?
No, not really. So immunity, fighting with germs, fighting with so those kind of things, building immunity basically. Like for example, Chyawanprash builds immunity. So we've been talking about Chyawanprash building immunity. Then oral care is about germs. About Kitanu. So those kind of things,
I understand. So now, what has this entire period taught you all as a company, both on the marketing side, media side? What has it taught you all? And what are the best practices you all can take out of this?
I think the biggest lesson in this is that rather than watching Netflix, if you work slightly harder, you will still survive. Because right now, when the thing started, everybody thought that we'll sit down and watch Netflix, but that didn't happen. Eventually, all of us in this forum also. I think everybody started working harder, because it was survival. It's a matter of survival. So
what are the best practices I'm saying, in terms of working as a brand, working as a media professional? What has it taught you in terms of mediums? What platforms to use? What has it taught you?
So I think the first day, I think everything became digital. There was, I'll just give you an example that, everybody's computer used to have a small icon called Microsoft Teams. Nobody had used it. So So one is that one is that people started using that. Second thing, what we saw is that one became very disciplined. That the meetings have to start and end on time, because otherwise you can't do other work. And the collaboration. I think collaboration is something which we saw as a big learning for everybody. As we became more collaborative, I think more digitized, I guess, and respect for each other's time. These three things I would say.
And in terms of agency relationships, what has that meant for you?
That's been fantastic. In fact, agencies have been supporting so well. Our agency, Starcom, which does media for us, and our creative agencies as well. They've been providing so much of support, working along with us, providing all kinds of support. It's been amazing, really. I mean, I hats off to them. Their skin in the game has been as much as ours. So I would say that they have really helped us.
The strategy has come from both sides, or is it coming primarily from one side?
Strategy is always from the both sides. More from our side, but from their side also. They are equally agile, equally nimble-footed, and it's always collaboration which works in this scenario.
And are you doing any dipsticks to find out how the brand is performing? Or forget it now, let's just get...
So right now we're still away from that. We still need to, unless until you go to the ground and until Nielsen and stuff starts working properly, they will not get the sense of what's actually happening in the ground. So, we have access to all kinds of report which keeps coming out every day, like KPMG, Bain, all these people keep sending reports. So there's learning coming from that basically right now. But granular level data relating to your brand right now, that's not, that takes some time, I guess.
Okay, I'll ask you a couple of questions and I'll let you go. In terms of your different product lines, apart from sanitizer and oral care, what are the products are doing well? In terms of, has been a drop in demand in certain category?
So for example, I don't think you can go category by category. I think you should go region by region. If you go region by region, southern region is doing the best. Eastern region is doing fairly okay. Northern is slightly hit and west is very, very badly hit, in that order. And then categories wise, oral care is doing pretty well now, but hair care is not doing as good, So if we were to draw that comparison. But it'll all eventually work fine. I guess that's my sense.
And your launches must have been delayed. If you had any products launches planned in this quarter, what does that mean?
So maybe regular launches are delayed, but you're thinking of launching some new products which be relevant for this scenario. So those launches work is on 24/7 on that. Production is on, and we'll be coming up with lots of products in this time period.
Just even if the lockdown continues.
Yeah, so even though it continues, we'll be launching products.
And your brand spends have been cut, I would imagine that.
For the time being, but we'll come back. I don't think there's a very permanent thing. I don't think there's an issue in that.
What time frame?
I think I'll come back.
What time frame? 2 weeks? 1 week? 10 days? 15 days? A month? 2 months?
It'll be quicker, I guess. It'll be earlier than that.
Okay. I'm going to leave this open to any of you all to ask him a question. Any of you want to ask him a question, please go ahead. Anyone wants to ask Rajiv a question?
Rajiv, this is Dr. Nagraj. When Sir was asking you about this launches, would you say that this would be the appropriate time to actually going for a launch, probably even 3 months or 4 months down the line? Do you think that the perception would be the same? Because people would probably be coming out of it and you will not be able to gauge how the product is going to do. So as a brand manager or as a management, would you go in with the risk of launching a product?
So, Dr. Nagarajan, what I would say is that relevant launch, not irrelevant launch, something like maybe a mobile phone or a motor car may not make sense at this point in time. But in consumer products, something which people can relate to, for example, a disinfectant or say a different type of sanitizer or say a different kind of a product which basically helps in this scenario. So those kind of launches I'm referring to, which there shouldn't be any problem in launching. But something which people can't relate to right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Your Chyawanprash must be doing well.
Yeah, Chyawanprash is doing well. It's doing pretty well.
Yeah. For Himalaya, all its immunity products must be doing well. For Himalaya.
Yeah, absolutely.
All their products. Any other questions?
Same.
Yeah. Avi, any questions to Rajiv?
So Rajiv, you head the media at Dabur. Do you see any change in terms of the media choices that you've been making over the last, say, 30 days? And how do you see it going forward?
Absolutely. So even before this started, we had a sense that news channels will do well, and movies will do well, and that's what exactly happened. So we were kind of prepared for this kind of scenario. However, Doordarshan came out of syllabus, it was not given in the syllabus, and suddenly it came up, and one was not ready for it. And before one could react and do anything, it got sold out. So it's like you go for an exam, and suddenly one question comes which is not there in any book. It's totally out of the book. So we weren't prepared for that, but other scenarios we were prepared with. Maybe knew how it is going to shape up, and approximately I think it has behaved in a similar way. Because we had learnings from the past on this, how media behaves in a scenario when original programming goes off air. We had known about it in a way, but things like how well the news channels will do, for example, it'll go 3 times, that we didn't know, but it did very well. Prime Minister's speech, for example, every time it comes, it generates such a huge number. Last week's speech generated about 20.6 crore viewers, His highest rated program. He generates highest TRPs in the country right now.
So I think
so those things
we're referring to is if you've gone digital.
Yeah.
Are you taking?
Correct.
Equally, so we
are equally present. There are a lot of CPG brands have shifted to.
Yeah. So we are equally present in
OTT.
digital and on news, both actually. So that shift has also happened. That's a very natural shift because the consumption of digital also went up. So that shift has also happened. But we have focused on news, digital news more right now because there's so much attraction in that, and other things are following as we speak.
So what's the percentage towards digital now? Is it 20-80 or 70-30?
It'll be at least 70% towards TV right now.
And 30 is digital.
Yeah.
And do you expect that to change? But seeing what traction digital has got?
TV is still delivering such huge numbers, TV numbers have gone up by about 40%. The digital numbers have not got has gone up so significantly.
No, Netflix has got 15 million additional subscribers.
Yeah, but in terms of percentage, is very small number.
They've announced 60% increase. I'm sure ZEE5 has had tremendous traction.
And then that number of Netflix number is a global number, no? We don't know what's there yet.
I understand.
Global.
Yeah, it's a
global number.
From ZEE5, what numbers have you got?
What happens in Netflix is that you can't advertise there. Although
Absolutely.
numbers are
I know it's an S1
can't
model.
do anything about it.
Yeah.
ZEE5 probably you can do something, but something which is easy bait, something like a news. That's something which we have done so far, and Hotstar we have done, and ZEE5 is something which we are doing right now. So these things, one is followed by whichever is open platform for advertising, So that has given a good growth, and so I mean basically you can't segregate the audience like that. You can't segregate a medium like that. You basically go after the audience wherever they are. If it's there on digital, you go there. If it's there on television, you go over there. So that's what I think the biggest setback has been with the newspapers. I really feel bad for newspapers because somehow newspapers should have been available. That's not available right now.
I know, but I'm reading them on digital. I'm reading.
Yeah, so that's there, but the numbers can't be certified by anybody. What numbers getting delivered.
All right. Any other questions to him, or I shall let him slide so he can go back to his.
No, I have a question. There is data that has shown that in the last session when it happened in 2008, the brands that invested during that time.
Yes, I've seen that data.
Communication benefited through post that versus the brands that completely cut communication monies. And there is also a role for brand love at this time, because obviously hard sell is a problem. Nobody's interested in hard sell at this time, but creating these residual, brand love communication, which eventually takes it's a more long-term investment into the brand. What is your view then? Are you guys doing any for your?
So that's been my sense as well, and I saw that report as well, which you're referring to. and that in fact everybody in our company has also seen, and we were kind of mindful of this fact that if you keep advertising during these times, it basically the benefit is in the range of 25 to 30% as higher than as compared to somebody who's not advertising at all. So we're totally mindful of that, and I totally agree with this thought that that's the way to go. Not advertising is not a good idea. I've been a huge propagator of advertising, and it always works. And we have seen it work. I have myself experienced it in every brand to brand.
All right. Any other questions before we let him through? So we're done. Rajiv, thank you very much for being part of this, and all the best. And may all the plans that Dabur is planning to roll out come out successful, and may we all get out of this easier than is being predicted. Thank you
so much, and wish you all the best, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now let's get on with the ladies now. In terms of Shrija, as you know, you're working a lot on the creative side with your brands that you manage. What has it meant as far as y'all are concerned in terms of delivering, strategizing with your marketing managers, your brand partners? What has it meant for y'all?
So first of all, for us, it was to even plan work from home was needed. So most of our employees, a lot of our employees, the art people, they use these large Macs. So we had to make sure that everybody's equipment goes home because everybody's not on laptop. So that was one whole exercise that we did, and fortunately we started planning well before the post lockdown happened. So everybody could manage that. There was this huge pushback initially that creating work. Creative people need to rap about ideas and discuss it through and build on each other's thoughts. And then how could you do that on a video call? There is going to be an impact in work, and that was a big worry that we all had. But actually, it turned out quite the opposite. I guess everybody knows that this is the only way to work. As a result of which they're all making it work. I'm amazed at the technology savviness of my creative people. Microsoft Teams has become a way of life. Nowadays, nobody is making a regular call. If you need to talk to somebody, actually the call is happening on video, so that there seems to be that you're sitting across the table and working. Even with clients, I think a lot of the clients are going through a painful time, as we all know, thanks to issues in supply chain and many of the products not being their essential products. But we are working with them, to plan out what we are calling 30, 60, 90-day plan. What is the next? What's potential? Now, all these are, of course, hypotheses being workshopped together. We are building cultural fuels that could then, what we see is impacting a little bit more long term, and which would impact the brands more for a year and a half. And what are those cultural fuels then that could be impacting each of the sectors that we work on? For example, there is a belief that second-hand cars will grow going forward because people's dependence on public transport, at least because of the kind of those who can afford second-hand cars. So the brands like Cars24, etc., should therefore eventually benefit, or even the second-hand cars of the large brands should benefit. So building these kind of hypotheses with each of the clients, and then creating plans, saying, "Ye hua, so we will deploy this." So we are working through with most of our clients in this kind of a planned manner.
That's great. But in terms of the creative output, are you all able to bring out some?
Yes, so a lot of creative output has come out. In fact, Z, which is not Z5, but Z5 is also our client. ZTV has taken out a lot of work because these kind of, especially for the shows that connect with consumers every day. There is a relationship that the consumer has with the characters of those shows. And it is necessary, therefore, to keep those characters alive, because unfortunately, they are not being able to air those shows because they can't shoot. So we've done a lot of digital work. Actually, a lot of the work is all digital. Digital work on what we can do to keep those characters alive. Similarly, for brands like Skoda or brands like Mercedes or brands, every brand the first thing we did actually after we settled down, which is settle down, work from home, is to look at proactive work on what we can do across each of these brands proactively. What should without it being super hard sell, it should come in easily to the consumer and not be forced on the consumer. So we did that plan. Now that is out. Now we are looking at, how does the business continue to communicate with the clients.
And what have you learned?
So we've learned that, initially there was this whole big rush to do something on COVID. Let's do some communication. Beyond a point, as somebody mentioned here, it all started becoming repetitive, which is why brands like Zee, which was more connected to the characters, and those kind of brands probably, benefited more, because eventually all the ads were looking pretty much the same. Very few ads really stood out. One of the ads I personally really loved was the Emirates work that was done globally. And even the new Cathay work I saw, which has come out of actually the Publicis China office, which is absolutely excellent, because these are the most affected brands. What we learned is that after the panic was sort of died down, the work is happening quite easily, quite seamlessly. Clients have also, client and agency relationships actually have probably become even better during this time, because each knows the pain the other is going through. There's a lot more transparency in the relationship. We do know where they are having cash flow problems. We're trying to help out wherever there are issues in terms of deferred payment, etc. Wherever we can, we're trying to partner our clients. And I think during this time, during crisis periods, is when people get closer and real relationships come out during crisis times. Happy days, everybody is friendly. And this is really the test of that relationship which is coming.
Fantastic. Now, Dr. Nagarajan, in terms, you're providing very essential services, which is life-saving measures through the Apollo hospitals. In terms of communication, what have you all sent out as far as your the overall consumer is concerned, or have you all stopped communicating totally, or are you using new ways of communicating?
We are in touch with the regular people in addition to the customers. I handle the marketing as well as the operations per se. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to engage with the B2B as well as the B2C customers. We have come out with newer apps as far as Apollo is concerned. And with Savita, where I'm actually also doing the consultation, we are actually moving more to the places with the government support and giving them more kind of a communication direct hands-on. That actually the government is actually coming in and giving us more support. As far as the branding is concerned, we are not trying to do too much, because this is a place where I think all the brands were wanting to associate with the healthcare. So we are trying to have a kind of a notional on how we are going to associate with the brands at this point of time. But as far as going to the B2C and the B2B is concerned, we are trying to have the newer approaches, especially using this digital media, which is a in thing, because we are doing a lot of virtual consultations. On an average, we are doing more than 10,000 consultations. If you look at the entire south of Apollo is concerned at this point of time on a daily basis. That's much more than what we had predicted when we had the telecommunication coming in some time back. So this is more of a virtual consultation which is happening, with a lot of meetings happening as with any other brand or any other organization on this chats and other newer applications.
So in terms of, have you expanded your digital teams so that you could manage to do this?
Yeah, we have an in-team, and we have also outsourcing a lot at this point of time. We have got in about 5 newer apps for Apollo, for especially interacting with the customers nationally as well as international customers, because we definitely understand that international patients are going to take a long time to respond in coming back to India, since nationally also we are locked down. So we are having a lot of newer applications with which we are trying to interact, and especially as far as the digital media is concerned, they are working overtime to ensure that we meet all the customers on a regular basis.
So your primary and as far as the brand activity is come, you all are not really pushing. Are you all also communicating soft messaging on how people can look after themselves through your digital medium, or is it just virtual consultations?
No, digital medium, we are working with the government and ensuring that whatever is actually put in place, we are communicating the same thing. We are not trying to do a brand image as such for Apollo or for Savita. What we are trying to do is we are trying to be with the government, because we should not be communicating two things. So the message remains the same, and we are taking a soft approach at this point of time, because we don't want to push it down the throat, because at this point of time, that would not be an ideal scenario.
I get that. So apart virtual consultation, and also what about education? Is that happening from your side?
Yeah, that also we are doing side by side. We have got more than 4 or 5 certificate courses. At the start, we were thinking that we are going to cost it at around 5,000 to 10,000 rupees, but we are giving it free of cost now. Like all the paramedicals, doctors, as well as all the staff can do an online course, especially for COVID awareness as well as for COVID. And we are also developing something which would be given shortly in about a couple of weeks' time, for 1 week time, I think. For the general public also, so that they can also know what is it as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
I understand. So, the health workers are considered to be the real unsung heroes. In terms of your hospital, how are you managing that side in terms of ensuring the PPEs are in place and everything else is in place?
That actually we are doing on a regular basis. I think that is going without any hitch. In fact, the understanding is that as such, Apollo or Savita or any other hospital would be getting more support. At this point of time, all the brands and all the organization are with us, and we have been bombarded with lots and lots of NGOs also coming into play, saying that we will sponsor the mask and we will sponsor the PPEs, and we have outnumbers as far as the PPEs and the requests are concerned. So in that manner, I would like to thank all the organizations right across the Indian subcontinent, and they are doing a wonderful job. I think the hospitals are getting benefited as far as that is concerned, and I'm hearing that even the other hospitals, that is a scenario, that they are not spending a penny as far as the PPE and masks and the other sanitizers are concerned. They are getting it left, right and center from all the organizations across. So that's a big plus as far as the branding which has been happening. I think the health sector is there to gain as far as that is concerned.
Yeah. Any questions to Dr. Nagarajan from you all? Any of you all? Pawan? No?
Yeah, I mean, I think hospitals are doing the greatest job at this point in time. So we would just like to thank him. Yeah, I mean, nothing more than that.
Anyone else on the panel that wants to share anything with him? Any ideas, any thoughts, any instances? No? So fantastic. Thank you very much. Keep on doing the good work, Dr. Nagaraj. Stay on if you'd like to, and you can ask questions to the other panelists also as we go along, as they continue communicating. So, Vanita, you're part of a large group. And what have you all guys been up to working as far as your brands? Since new media emerging suddenly, Doordarshan has come up like this big monster, which is working well. Audiences are queuing into the feel-good programming that's being put out there, even though it's very old programming, but it's still working. So what has it meant for an agency like yours?
Very, very good to share with you guys that we were very agile, very fast, and we did get the FCT before it got sold out for some of our clients. And I think, of course, we admire Amul for whatever they did even faster. But we did have a lot of our clients, including Shadi.com and Dixie and Balaji Wafers and stuff like that. So so we have been on our toes and literally working and overworking. I think all of us work from home means a longer day and night, so to say, now. And yes, digital, of course, is ruling high across categories wherever. So it's essentially whoever is advertising first first question is the brand advertising? Once that is a yes, then it's usually a TV and a digital mix that is going on, which actually honestly has also been pretty much the standard mix, which is preferred by most clients, even pre-COVID. Today I think there's no doubt that TV plus digital is a lethal mix that we follow.
So going by your brands, which are the brands that have shifted more towards digital? Forget about the mix; it's always been there. But
Yeah,
are they,
it's always been there. Yeah. I wouldn't think that people have shifted more towards digital broadly. I think we have been, like you said, it's always been there. If they advertise, they do need the TV cover, so I don't think the ratios have markedly changed. But yeah, there are. I don't think the ratios are very, very different.
So Avi, are you listening in? Avi, are you listening into this? That there's not much change happening as yet, despite the fact that your numbers have gone up. Your numbers are up by how much?
Yes, so we've seen a significant growth actually. While it's an usual that we've got into after 30 days, and it's a new interim routine that we've all got into. We've seen some significant consumer shift that has happened in terms of the user behavior, in terms of their consumption patterns, owing to the limited media choices that are available, and also to the plethora of choice available on digital. So what is happening is that there is new discovery which is happening, and people and consumers are adapting to the media. From a ZEE5 specific perspective, we've seen a growth of about 1.6 to 2x across genres, across our connected device spectrum. The daily active users have increased by 15 to 20%, and because the consumers are there is a good audience, there is higher ROI that brands are seeing, along with measurability. A lot of new brands have started coming on board, have started looking at digital as a medium, and also have started shifting the spends. The shift which we've all been speaking about has only been fueled by this overall scenario.
I think, Avi, you could also add to it, but I think essentially the reason why probably it's not really very visible is also the categories, Anil. So it all depends. Like, for example, the guys who are more digital earlier itself would have further, accentuated digital spends. Like, for example, online education, or even offline media, for example, they are using digital and online in a very, very big way, because they're not being able to do too much on television. So, and they also have a risk where, cross networks don't allow advertising, and all of those risks are also there, right? So I think finally digital necessarily, is it like the FMCGs, essentials and pharma, etc.? Are they going more digital than TV than earlier? I am not too sure, is what I was saying. Would you agree with that?
So what has happened is that we've seen CPG also increasingly getting onto OTT. Unilever has been one of our biggest spenders on ZEE5, and we've only seen the surge in terms of the genres and in terms of the products that they want to advertise. Yes, you're right that it is category specific at the moment. While there is a lot of supply that is there, but in terms of the demand, in terms of the advertisers which are currently active, it is limited at the moment. And while that is happening, we are also seeing it plateauing now. So what is happening is that more and more brands, like we were speaking about earlier also, are now looking further and looking beyond just COVID communication and trying to reach out to their audiences.
And it's such a paradoxical situation, Anil, that, media has been at its peak today, and there is so much, that one can do. But unfortunately, because of the way the businesses are, the supply chains, and the effect that it has had on their own baseline and everything, it's quite sad actually, because it's so much of cash stripped behavior that we're seeing everywhere. And it's, I think, only natural to understand that, because not only is there an absence of demand, but there's no cash to really lubricate the businesses. So it's quite paradoxical.
But the good thing is that we've all adjusted to this new normal, and we'll have to continue adjusting to it. So let's get on to also the importance of digital in the new normal later, because geo-targeting is something, and individual targeting is something that platforms, OTT, AVOD platforms can offer you. But so is that available even with television. Let's talk a little more about this from Pawan's point of view, as well as from Vaishali, and as well from Kishan's point of view, and Arvind also, because you look at local product delivery a lot, partnering with a few delivery platforms, etc. As far as you're all concerned, your brands will be looking at very, very focused communication.
So if I may start, I think our journey has been very different. While I think brands are being created, I think we are the destination for a lot of brands which we are able to sell. At this point in time, we are able to sell only essentials. I think that's what the government has allowed.
Yeah.
Of course, we have gone through our own, tide in the sense of, no one was prepared for something like this. But honestly, what's happened is, I think for essentials, if I particularly talk about that, there has been a huge demand. People need it, and there are a lot of people who are hoarding it, right? They are keeping it in their home because of the uncertainty or from the anxiety point of view. So in our case, what's really happened is that, any information which we put out in terms of availability and whatsoever is there is just literally going viral. I mean, I still remember the fact that when we were trying our doorstep delivery in terms of really reaching out at the very initial stage. Without knowing, what would be the impact of lockdown, and we did not even know that it's going to be like, I remember on 23rd of April or sometimes, or even longer before that, when Prime Minister announced for the first time.
23rd March.
March, yeah. Sorry on that. So we were not even prepared that we'll go and we'll see such a a lockdown for such a long period. Right, but apparently that messaging just got viral. Like, I think it went on every WhatsApp group across the country, literally. So I think our challenges have been different. As I said, that it's not so much of communication challenge which we are facing. I think it's more of supply chain, more of making it possible for the consumer. I think store has its own norm because we have to maintain social distancing, and we really want to stick to some of these things, right? Because otherwise, because we are a service-led brand, right, it can create a lot of damage for us. So I don't think awareness and advertising has been so much of concern, and it's obviously taken a backseat at this point in time. Any information which we put out for our consumer is like, great information, because we are only talking essentials at this point in time. And therefore, but having said this, we are also preparing for different scenarios right now. Let's say if a partial lockdown is removed in a certain states and city, what do we do, right? What kind of communication should we do? Obviously, we are building lots of scenario at this point in time. Of course, from a media consumption perspective, digital has been the biggest, and we were the early adopter of digital as a medium. So that's benefiting us in a very big way. So it's not new to us. We've been very dependent on newspapers. So obviously that's taken a back seat. Television doesn't make sense for us at this point in time. We'll see how it goes later. Yeah, but I think this is what broadly we've been kind of exploring and learning on a daily basis.
Okay, so have you all found more likes on your Facebook pages, on your Instagram? If you're having a big Instagram following, have you all seen changes coming in over there?
Yeah, but any which ways, I think the likes on Facebook doesn't matter in today's context perspective. But I would say that I think our organic engagement has really, really increased. Our shareability has really increased because people are sharing this information, and they think that, it's important for many people to know, right? In terms of what are our store timings, and obviously this is all coming from what the government is or authorities are putting, instructions to us. So we completely follow that, right? So yeah, I mean, so therefore I would say that a lot of organic reach has kind of increased a lot for us. I think WhatsApp has been like a crazy medium for us. I mean, in that sense, because consumers are sharing more than, we intend to push anything at this point in time.
Great. And what about your apps? How are they behaving?
So Big Bazaar was not an e-commerce platform, but we had to build it. I think these are the unique challenges which businesses are facing today. So I think within no time, like at least just about in 10 days, we built shop.bigbazaar.com, where you can take you can place an order, you can pick it up from the store. So there are various services which we have kind of put that across. obviously, I think there are slots which are available, and most of the time, I think the slots are completely full. So we are trying to expand as much as possible because there are lots of challenges even on the ground. Because as I said, we are service, we're coming from a service space. So I think our manpower is not more than 15 to 20% in store, right? So there are lots and lots of challenges which we are going through. But at this point in time, the intent is to serve the community. I mean, that's what we have taken, and we are wanting to do whatever possible at this point in time.
So one of the things, which people say is use own media well. What you own as a media.
Yes.
So it's during this period. Is that something
Yes.
that's going to increase as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, 100%. Because our for example, I think FuturePay, which is one of our a wallet where large part of consumers they engage. I think that's been a great medium for us to reach out to people and inform and hear a lot from them as well. I think it's important to understand their pain points and try and do whatever possible which we are able to do at this point in time. So I think our internal customer base has really helped us to create engagement with them and trying to hear what they need and whatever possible things which we can provide, because there are lots of restrictions. Even Essential has a lot of restrictions. We cannot sell everything, right? So we are trying to do whatever possible best at this point in time. As I said that, things will continue like this. I think, contactless billing, for example, is going to be a big part of us, which we know. And therefore, we are adapting ourselves on a daily basis. Like we are seeing each day as it comes. Each day is an opportunity. Each day is a big challenge, and we are trying to address it as it comes. That's what we have adopted in the organization.
And what's the new normal going to look like going forward? Let's say when everything...
I think one big thing is the entire. I feel that consumers will decide, how they want to engage with us, whether they want to come to the store, they want to buy online. I think that seems like a new normal to me going forward. I think consumers will have a lot of decision to take. They will, and we would like to respond back to them accordingly. So we'll adapt ourselves in terms of whatever the customer wants at any point in time. And seems like, doorstep delivery is going to be a very, very normal thing for us. Online shopping is going to be a very normal thing for us. So I think just a retail physical store is going to expand itself and see many more avenue to engage with the customer and service the customer.
Yeah, going forward, in this COVID period, we've seen an announcement where Facebook is investing tons into Reliance, and they're looking at creating their entire GeoMart. How is that going to impact the nation going forward, and the entire retail economy going forward?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, I think social commerce is a big part, which I'm assuming that they are going to
more like WeChat allows.
Like a WeChat. I think, of course, that'll bring in a lot of change in terms of the way consumers kind of shop or engage with retail format. I think any change is good for us, and any change, especially as a group, we see everything as opportunity. So I'm sure we will adapt ourselves and change ourselves as consumers are changing. So I'm sure that'll bring about some change in the consumer habit for sure.
Fantastic. Any questions for Pawan from any of y'all? Arvind, Avi, Vanita, Vaishali, Kishan?
No, I'm good.
Fantastic. Thanks a million, Pawan.
Thank you.
Questions to any other panelists, please go ahead. Now, coming on to Vaishali, who's been patiently, listening to everyone talk, and Kishan also, and Arvind also. We've had a broad gist of what we've been discussing. So I'd like to know your thoughts on all the things that have been discussed here. Each of you.
Sure, I can go first here. I think it's a great topic, and a lot of people have already spoken. So just to have my point of view or the way we are guiding our clients, brands will need to be responsible, will need to be reliable. They need to evoke empathy in current times, and of course, the supply chain has got hit, the delivery system has got hit. But our advice to most of our clients have been that continue engaging with your client, and it's important at such times to form a long-lasting connection, especially in this zero-contact world, where we are getting into, because the optimism with which we are, and India is a fairly optimistic country, and we have seen multiple recessions in the past. Brands have bounced back. And only when you continue investing, continue engaging in an empathetic way with your consumer, and that's a long-term view which the marketers should have, and don't take any hasty decisions in short term. I know funds are limited, funds are finite, and hence there are different opportunities which are around us. And thanks to multiple media options, there's OTT, digital, television have seen, Vanita talked about, the television itself has seen a huge jump in the, consumption of, content. And while even we have not seen a shift from TV to digital, so still it's about 70% TV and about 30% digital, categories to categories, but huge amount of opportunity on digital to do personalization at scale, to personalize messaging to scale, etc. And get into geo-targeting. So that's been broadly our advice. And of course, we are working on a lot of scenario planning right now, post-COVID, and then the recovery phase and stabilization phase, etc. I think it will continue to happen, but this is what we have been trying to guide our clients. And some of the clients like, Amazon or Unacademy, which is into online education, or 1mg, which is online pharma, or Prime Video, which is OTT. I mean, they are part of the essentials today. And even the categories of brands which are not part of the essential need to have an engagement, on going with the customers today. I mean, I would like to just sum up. I think we might be running out of time.
No, we have time actually.
Yeah, okay.
We have time.
Yeah, so that's what I had to say at overall. If there are any questions, I can take that.
Any questions to Vaishali from any of you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so in terms of let's look at it 6 months down the line. We are out of the COVID phase. This is to all of you. All of you can contribute to this. Customer is having less money in his hand. He's probably lost his job. Some people joblessness is going to go up. Though we are talking about people retaining jobs. Salary cuts have happened because we are actually entering a deep recession. So what does it mean for the agencies? What does it mean for brands like McDonald's? What does it mean for brands like FBB, like Future Bazaar? What does it mean for all of y'all going forward? Each of you can address this.
So I'll go first. I think it's very important to kind of phase this out. So the current phase is of a lot of anxiety. I think the infection is yet to stabilize. So people are very, very anxious and very reluctant to kind of go out, even if the lockdown is lifted. It will soon stabilize, provided the infection comes down. So in which case the mood suddenly will become much more positive. So one thing from a food perspective is there's a huge reliance on home cooked food today, and hence a resultant pressure on the household, especially households with families and kids, right? So we will see a pent up demand. Now, whether we service the demand from a delivery perspective or a restaurant dining perspective, that's different. It will be more delivery than dining, but there will be a pent up demand for hygienic and high quality food, especially from a QSR perspective. So very important for, of course, brands in the QSR to kind of be hygienic and also contactless from a customer perspective. But we will see a pent up demand that will be there. But that will soon stabilize. That pent-up demand will soon stabilize because end of the day, customers will become more frugal. There's a lot of economic pain that's already there that will remain for some time. So we will see a lot of frugality-based decision making. We will see a lot of value, as we call it, the importance of value that consumers give to brands. So that will really go up. So brands that are well positioned in the value for money paradigm. And of course, the hygiene parameters and contactless, those need to be fulfilled. But brands that are very well positioned, the value for money paradigm will do very well in the near term. There is a twin phenomena going on, right? There will be, once the situation stabilizes, consumers will prefer brands as opposed to unbranded stuff, right? And that will be across categories for sure. But at the same time, what we are going to see in the near term is that any brand is okay, right? So there is a kind of a supply chain linked issue that will take a lot of months to stabilize. So any packaged brand is okay. Any brand that I think passes the minimum hygiene levels will be okay. So people will be more purchasing across brands and not so much brand loyalty as it was earlier. So there is the twin paradigm that will also come out to play. But value for money will kind of dominate the conversations, at least in our category.
Yeah, Kishan, do you echo that?
Yeah, I think to that point, I think we have seen that availability is bigger than equity at this point in time, is what a lot of CPG brands have shown. I think a lot of points people have said, so I don't want to repeat some of the points. Also, I think we're short on time. One observation, I think, and I'm going to look at it from both the client lens and an agency lens, right? And from a client lens, from whatever I have seen, is that people who have reflected on life in a very honest and human manner has been able to sort of connect well with consumers, right? So, for example, and these are all based on human truths that has happened in the last month and a half, right? So, if you are anxious about elders living alone, is what has led Tata Tea to do Jagore, to bring back Jagore again at this point in time, to say, is baar badon ke liye Jagore, and help the elderly, right? That's a very human sort of a situation that is left to that. And on the extreme other end of the spectrum is where COVID, no COVID, lockdown, no lockdown, youngsters just want to chill, right? And that's where, what was the genesis of our 5-star campaign for Mondelez, which says, in COVID, how can you do nothing differently? Like, how can you chill differently, right? I mean, just that COVID is another situation, but that's again the reflection of life. As against another reflection of life is where people are trying to get fitter because of unhealthy lifestyles and stress and things like that, and hence fitness has come back home, which is why our client CureFit has brought in fitness to home, right? And you can now stay fit at home, right? So each of these ones, or for example, each of us sitting here is really missing maa ke haath ka khana, and that's why Mother Dairy went and said how much you miss your mom's food, right? I mean, these are all actually, if you follow life, the brands will do well. I think that's, if there is honesty, and if there is and you might have a guest in the video call, which is my daughter, but yeah.
Welcome. I think she can spout more wisdom than all of us.
She actually is waiting. This is the new normal, actually. So I had promised her that I'll do something at 1. But yeah, anyway. So
apologies. What's her name? Can we apologize to her?
She's
we need Daddy for another 10 minutes, please.
No, actually, I'll tell you what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to hold a court session where her mom is being accused for killing mosquitoes, and she's the defense lawyer and I'm the prosecuting lawyer. So
10 minutes.
Your court is inside. Can you give me 10 minutes? Okay. So this is the new normal, by the way. This is something which we allow in our MS teams. We have pets, we have kids coming in, all of that. Anyway, so that's exactly what my point is, right? That's exactly my point. Slice of life is exactly what is going to dictate, which I would like to call, how do you revisit fundamentals, right? Revisiting fundamentals is like Arvind was mentioning, saying that there is going to be paradox. There is going to be equity at one end, there is going to be availability at the other end. You need to balance both. But there are going to be some fundamental shifts, right? Cooking is going to be much more appreciated post-COVID than eating out, because of what has happened in the last 1 month. Failed attempts of making Rajma Chawal to whatever, right? All that is now become saying, so hence, what is it for brands like MTR or whoever is in the cooking space, right? or in the health and fitness space, right? So that is what is going to happen. So plus there are some large shifts that will happen. For example, health and fitness comes back, family as a unit comes back, right? So there is hence a lot of brands who are talking only to, let's say, a particular segment will now have to broad base. So segmentation at some level goes out of the window. That is again a recalibration of the fundamental. This whole market prioritization of P1, P2, P3 goes out of the window because different states will bounce back to COVID in a different manner, right? While we are saying that Kerala is doing phenomenally well containing COVID, I don't know how they will do after COVID because we are just staring at another flood in the next 2 months. Money has dried out because there is no remittance from from outside of the state. Hence, economically, they might be in trouble. So you might have a state which is free from COVID but not have spending power. So we need to look at market prioritization differently. You need to look at segmentation differently. You need to look at media choices differently. You need to look at role of digital. I mean, of course, digital shift is something which is not a new thing. But what within digital is, so for example, social commerce, somebody was talking about. We are trying to do social commerce for a beauty brand which we handle. Like L'Oreal is a large client of ours. How do you create the whole influencer ecosystem to go and sell, which something L'Oreal has done 2 years back in China, right? And today we have technology. So also the fundamental shift is clients are willing to take risks because this is anyway a reboot time. If the risk is worth taking, which can conventionally change my business model, then why not, right? I mean, these are the things. So we have a client called Myntra, for example, which is an apparel client. I don't see the apparel industry coming back in another 3-4 months time, right? But there are ways in which, for example, work from home. Somebody was actually mentioning when we were discussing for a paint client, saying that, paint, how do you increase occasions of painting? And they're saying that, today painting is not about painting the whole house. If your room is becoming your office, you might want to paint this better, right? And hence that occasion is going up. So I think I wish I had the answer to say this is how it's going to happen. I don't think most of us have in varying degrees of 30, 40, 50% of the grasp of things. The 50% is what we are going to reinvent. And that's the beauty of it, I think. That's where I think the collective wisdom, and our CEO used this very wonderful word called collective influence. The collective influence is something which we call it collaboration, we call it anything, but yeah, I think it's beyond that. It is about collective influence in each other's business, right, today. And that's I think what I would be looking forward to and be excited about. So yeah.
Great. I mean, I see merit in what you're saying. I see a lot of food, let's say cooking equipment coming back into vogue.
Yeah. And it has an implication, for example, apparel industry. I mean, tomorrow, I'm sure people are going to say, what should I wear to cook? Because if it's going to, I mean, if people are going to do fitness in home all 7 days, I'm sure athleisure as a category is going to go up. So if you're an apparel brand, if you have kept athleisure as a subsegment very niche, you have to probably bring it up, right? Because this is going to be demand there, right?
But so, I also see masks getting, like a mask being made like my shirt fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw some forward. Yeah. So I just want to make just one point. Like your question was more in terms of, let's say, 6 months down the line. How do you see it? I feel that, as marketer and advertiser, I think there are a couple of things which I think we need to be very careful of. I think brands, all of them, they need to be responsible in terms of what they respond and what they do. I think that's extremely important. 2, I feel that the brands need to keep it real. I think if you are not real, and I think the whole narrative of advertising has to change. I really feel that that whole dreamy land has to change to a far more real land, and therefore I feel that that'll give a lot of assurance to people. That's another thing which I look at. And yeah, I think some of these, and positivity, I think advertising will have to showcase positivity. Because I'm not too sure, whether what's going to happen in the country will be positive enough. But if I think advertising is able to showcase that positivity, I think it will somewhere, help in terms of creating consumption, is what I feel. I think these are the 3 things which we are keeping in mind while we are thinking of, 6 months, 3 months ahead.
Great, Vaishali and Vanitha and Avi.
Yeah.
All of you, whoever wants to take a stab now. in terms of way forward. And
so as we all contemplate that, when will the ease of restrictions happen and in what regions, what cities, etc. within the next few months, I think all the companies need to have a clear recovery plan in place, and one that addresses multiple scenarios. So which is a realistic view of the normal in the post-discovery period. What would it look like? There are some brands like media, telecom, healthcare, essential needs, which have fueled some brands. And during the pandemic, we also need to look at what is there beyond for the other brands. Customers will change behaviors which are non-reversible. I think that's going to happen. Acceleration of the prior trends that we spoke about, like adoption of digital, is the reality. And I strongly feel that a bold action now can set any brand up for success through this situation and also beyond. So a build of trust amongst consumers, a sense of safety, comfort, and hope. If a brand can establish that, it will be able to connect with its consumers in a much better way.
Vanitha and Vaishali?
Yeah, I think I completely agree, and consumers will start to make more rational choices, more conscious of their spends, and hence brands will need to adapt that, which exactly, Avi was talking about, and they will need to start justifying their place in the lifestyle of the consumers. So the focus might shift, and that is my personal view, while brand love will exist. And I was reading somewhere that the value the customer attached to the brand might just supersede that, and hence brands which are real, transparent, takes care of consumers' privacy, evoke empathy, will obviously have a long-term win.
Yeah, but there was another conversation I was listening to, that luxury brands are never affected by any downturn or upturn. There's something also, the lipstick effect, if you've heard that.
No, so I read that.
And then bought lipsticks.
Yeah, in fact, I was reading that China, when the first lockdown got over, Burberry, right? And I don't remember the numbers, but apparently there's a lot of pent-up demand which is there. And luxury, I don't know what the reason is, but apparently in China, the Burberry had like a record sale after the 76-day lockdown got over. And so while apparel as a category will suffer, but I also strongly believe that there will be a pent-up demand. They will, as Krishnan was also saying, they will form some part of your, journey and your lifestyle on a daily basis. And hence that entire engagement, etc. is important. But yeah, answering your point of luxury, there is always that, minuscule population which is like dying to go out and shop and dying to go out and, wine and dine, etc. I'm sure that's always there.
Great. Vanitha?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking into myself as a consumer, and even today when I go out to shop, like you were rightly saying, you went to the local guys, and I mean, I'd still prefer, I'd love to go to like a Hypercity or a Nature's Basket. It's just like a change, you're just stuck up at home. I think the pent-up demand clearly is there as a consumer, and I'm just reflecting on myself. Having said that, of course, each person and each company will need to cut the coat as per their cost, I mean, that is as they cut the cost as per their code. So that's the most important thing. Now, how much of the money aspect gets affected by which companies and which individuals? Like if I have the money, then the pent up demand can be there. But if I don't have the money, then there is a problem. So it's all about how badly we all get affected and how much each of our employers and overall the government can do to ensure that the recession is not very terrible. Like how much of a salary cut, for example, or how long is the problem going to be there, and all of that really matters, because I think in terms of sentiments, we are very optimistic. Even the Kantar study talks about how India is very worried, by the way. India is very worried, top 3 countries to be worried, but India is also the top 3 countries who thinks that, we are going to come back. So yeah. I think optimism is not a problem currently. It's just that, what is the reality? When is the new normal more than what is the new normal actually? So that is a bit of a worry. And I think as organizations, we need to keep up our tempo and keep up a happiness quotient also. It's very important in such times. So we're investing a lot on those things, like, having fun and doing a lot of things on the side. Also upskilling, which I think got talked about, that's also important. So these times are important because we don't know till when this is going to last. So having to understand what normal is, I think I would say when the normal, that's the larger question.
Fantastic. Any last words? Because I think we've heard it all. Any last words, any additional points you want to make? It'll be great. Vaishali, Pawan, Avi, Vanita, or have you said your last words already?
Yeah, I think that's about
I
it.
think
Yeah,
just the last word. I think mental well-being is extremely important, and we as leaders we need to really take care of that for our organizations. And I think I would just sum up that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, all of you all. For me, it's been a very, very good learning experience. I hope you all have learned from each other. The idea was to allow the audiences to you all to share your best, whatever you all have learned best through this entire trouble period. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye.